So I will move that House File 3874 be recommended to be re-referred to the Ways and Means Committee.
Chair Liebling moves HF 3874 to Ways and Means. Madam Chair, please present your bill.
Thank you, Chair Finke. So just to recap, this is the Judiciary Budget Bill. We've had this bill before us, I think, a couple of times, kind of informationally. We've had testimony from the Judiciary on it. And just as a reminder of what it contains, it is, their budget request includes money for safety and security, including money for home safety for judges and administrative staff. And it includes some other safety type of items. It includes a $1 million fund for grants for courthouse safety. And it includes, I won't detail all of the security measures that the court is asking for. I think we've been through that. But this is basically the, and there's money in here in the request for paid family medical leave funding because the court, has that additional requirement just like other employers do. And for whatever reason, which we will not repeat now, was missed when that allocation was made during the last budget cycle. So the court, as we all know, money is fungible. It can be used for different things, and so the courts are asking for a little bit of a bump to make up for that outlay that they are required to make. So that is the underlying bill, and if we could then move to my amendment, Chair Finke.
Yes, if you'd like to move the A7 amendment and perhaps bring Mr. Walls into that conversation.
Oh, right. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Chair Finke, I forgot that I did want to ask, so before I move that amendment, I wanted to ask Mr. Walls to just explain, there's a piece in here about a base adjustment, and I don't think we have actually discussed that, and just wanted to understand what that is because it's reducing the base a little bit.
Mr. Walls?
Madam Chair, members, the base adjustment that the courts requested goes back to last session where we appropriated some money to the courts, and there was, because of the targets, there was additional money in the out years in 27 and 20 or 28 and 29 than we had in 26 and 27. So we were able to add money to their bases with these base adjustments, and due to the overwhelming majority of FTEs or employees in the district courts, the conference committee prioritized giving money to the district courts. And so we made this decision, the legislature made this decision to give all this money, and the courts basically had the position that while they weren't in total disagreement with that, they could have used a little money, a little extra money at the Supreme Court and the appeals court. And so since this is all sort of an internal dialogue between them, they were asking that some of those tails be moved from the district courts to other courts within their system to more meet their budget needs. And so this is a budget neutral action that we're taking, and it's just allowing them to move some of their money within the system.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Walls, and thank you, Chair Finke, for letting me get that explained. That's very helpul. So, yeah.
So to your amendment A7.
Yes, so I would like to move the A7 amendment. And so the A7 amendment is my proposed adjustments to the judicial budget as it came to us from the judicial branch. I want to say, first of all, that we take the security needs of the judiciary very seriously. And we heard testimony in this committee about the threat that judges are under. And I think that is very serious. I mean, we know ourselves as elected officials that threats have increased, and of course we've seen some of the horrible consequences of that. But judges are every single day, especially in the district courts, they are seeing people who may be disgruntled for whatever reason, and somebody is often angry at them. And so, the need for security is very real. And across the country, we've even seen horrible cases of violence against judges. So this is an absolutely serious thing. That said, what this amendment is doing is it's paring back the security request to be more in line with what legislators are currently provided. And when we had the detailing of this included in their request, as I said, were administrators, this backs out the funding for the administrators' security. Not because we don't think they have any security needs, but it just brings it more in line with the legislature. And it also, this funding left in with my amendment and with the adjustments I'm making, it still includes security personnel for the Supreme Court who can be used flexibly to meet some of the funding needs of some of the security needs of the justices. But I do want to say that, we're cutting back, with this amendment, we're cutting back some of the funding that they would be getting just on the security piece. And I want to say that we, as a committee and as a legislature, we don't micromanage the courts. And I think most of us here understand that. The courts are the third branch of government. They are independent of us, even though we are in the position of funding them. And so when we give them some money for a general purpose, as we're doing here, at least my intention is that they can shift a little bit of that around for security needs should it come up. So, for example, if there's an administrator who is under particular threat, I am in no way saying in this amendment that person couldn't get security help with this pool of money. They certainly could, but I'm leaving that to the discretion of the courts, not just providing blanket appropriation for every administrator of these 100 to get funded. So that's the amendment, Chair Finke, and I don't know if there would be any questions.
Any discussion to the amendment? Chair Scott.
Thank you, Chair Finke. I encourage members to vote yes on this amendment.
Seeing no further discussion, we will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion prevails. There is another amendment, the A1. Representative Curran, would you like to explain your amendment?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm offering the A1 amendment. This is in regards to guardian ad litem appropriations. And I had the good fortune to meet with a constituent just the other day during Guardian Ad Litem Day at the Capitol. And she was telling me about all the amazing work that they do, right, to protect our kids within the systems that we have. And the greatest need there is more funding. We're not able to offer them the funding that they need to get their wages up to be competitive wages similar to folks doing similar work in other for other boards. But I will say that the $33,000 in 26 and 65 in fiscal year 27 is a little something that we can do for them as they're trying to do their work with very little. So I hope that members will support this amendment.
Any discussion to the amendment? Chair Scott.
Thank you, Chair Finke. I encourage a no vote.
Chair Liebling.
Thank you. I think we should have a roll call on this amendment.
A roll call being requested. Takes the roll? The clerk will take the roll.
Chair Liebling.
Aye.
Liebling, aye. Chair Scott. Scott, no. Vice Chair Finke.
Aye.
Finke, aye. Vice Chair Duran.
No.
Duran, no. Representative Bliss.
No.
Bliss, no. Representative Curran.
Aye.
Curran, aye. Representative Feist.
Aye.
Feist, aye. Representative Frazier.
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Representative Mahamud.
Aye.
Mahamud, aye. Representative Mueller.
Aye.
Mueller, aye. Representative Novotny. Novotny, no. Representative Rarick. Rarick, no. Representative Steer.
No.
Steer, no. Representative Van Binsbergen.
Nope.
Van Binsbergen, no. 7 and 7.
There being 7 ayes and 7 nays, the motion does not prevail. There is another amendment. It looks like Representative Bliss, the A2. Would you like to move your amendment?
Yes, I would, please.
Go for it.
So this is deleting the additional operating adjustment for the Paid Family Medical Leave Act. We've heard testimony in this committee that it's negligible. And pardon me, I may get this quote wrong, but it's similar to putting off buying a fancy pair of shoes until the next payday, something like that. But we ask our Minnesota businesses to suck it up and not to get an operating adjustment from the government on this. It's just another unfunded mandate. But because it's government, we need to take more money from already struggling taxpayers and subsidize the government. Now, I understand that the court does good work. I do. But we have a lot of businesses out there that do good work too that are expected to find this and absorb the costs. So I'm just asking the Minnesota government to do the same. This should be bipartisan. Again, it's negligible and just difference of buying a cheaper pair of shoes this week. So I don't see where this would be controversial. Thank you.
Discussion to the A2 amendment. Representative Feist.
Thank you. So I will say, like, in the context of my own business, that I have not noticed the huge burden that people are worried about when it comes to paid family medical leave, both in the additional nominal tax and in my operations. But I think that is besides the point in this context, because the judicial branch ensures that our constitutional rights are protected. And I think they ultimately matter more than my private business and other private business. They are an important third branch of government. And so I would encourage members to vote no.
Any further discussion? Yep. We'll come back, Representative Bliss.
No, I would please take other people's questions
Sure.
first, and then I'll respond.
Representative Bliss, your amendment.
Thank you. And just so our taxpaying Minnesotans know what this is, believe it's $1.9 million this year and nearly $2 million in the tails next time. So it's not negligible. It's taking about $2 million a year out of our taxpayers' pockets to cover something that's an unfunded mandate to the rest of us. And I disagree that government matters more than our private businesses. They're just as important as the rest of us. Thank you.
Representative Mueller.
Thank you, Madam.
Mueller, excuse
No,
me.
you're fine. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just say, too, that the judicial branch, unlike businesses, they don't have a way to raise other revenue. I think that's an important point I don't know why that's funny, but I think that's an important distinction here. And I'm going to request a roll call. Thank you.
Roll call has been requested. Vice Chair Durant.
Thank you, Chair. From my understanding is that paid family medical leave is a payroll deduction, so it's only coming out of their paychecks. So I'm not understanding why we expect everybody else to have it come out of their paychecks and us not to hold the courts to that same standard. I'm not sure how this works. We should be kind of going the same way, but can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yes, Chair Liebling.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the question. And I appreciate that when you don't understand something, you ask. I think that's really important. So there's an employer and there's an employee portion. So I'm quite sure that the judicial employees are paying their portion, just like everyone else. And this is the employer portion. So that's what the court is asking for. And Mr. Shorb is shaking his head. So, yeah.
Vice Chair Durant.
Thank you. And so we're expecting other private-owned businesses and everybody else to handle this stuff, but not the government, which we put this burden on. If this is a true burden to everybody, I think we need to reevaluate the situation. That if we're putting a burden on our own government to, I guess in the future, hurt themselves, then I guess maybe this program as a whole needs to be looked at, and maybe we should repeal the whole thing. I guess if it's putting a burden on some of the government agencies, then I guess I don't know what we're doing as a state here when we're asking our businesses to take care of it, but the government no. So thank you very much.
Chair Scott.
Thank you, Chair Finke. I recommend a yes vote.
We do have other members on the list.
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chair Liebling.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Chair Frazier. Everybody's a chair here. It's easy.
Thank you, Vice Chair Finke. So I don't know, maybe, and I've been in a lot of these conversations around paid leave, and I just want to make sure that we put on a record that we've heard testimony from and statements from various people that are benefiting from this now, that now they're able to take time off when they need to take care of themselves. They're able to take time off when a loved one maybe has now been diagnosed with cancer to help with those treatments, take care of a kid that is sick without worrying about losing their salary or their paycheck and being able to stay whole. I just want to make sure we don't lose the reason why this legislation went into effect. Those benefits have been critical. Those benefits are saving families, keeping them stabilized, and in many cases saving lives, because now there is a caretaker there that can care for those individuals. And I will note, and I don't like to do this political piece, but I will say this. When we were negotiating last year, there were concessions offered to my GOP colleagues, and they rejected all of those concessions, but for one. The main priority was to remove people from health care. That was the one concession that they made a priority when we offered up concessions for paid family medical leave. So I don't understand this consistent movement toward removing a benefit that is saving lives and helping to stabilize communities. We offered up concessions, Representative Bliss. They were rejected. And the one sole thing that your party wanted was to kick people off of health care, which, by the way, is costing us more money as a state. It is costing us more money. Paid family medical leave in long term is saving us money as a state by stabilizing families, stabilizing communities. The concessions that you took last year will cost us money long term. I just need that to be clear on the record.
Thank you, Chair Frazier. Chair Novotny is next on the list.
Thank you, Vice Chair Finke. I see Mr. Shorba from the courts is here. I was wondering if you could come up to the table and answer a quick question.
Welcome, Mr. Shorba. Please introduce yourself to the record.
I'm Jeff Shorba. I'm the State Court Administrator for the branch.
Thank you. Mr. Shorba, you're the only one I recognize over there that I could call, but I know you'll have the answer. I assume that a full-time employee of the court system has a fairly generous benefit program, including, I don't know how you do it, as vacation and sick time or just standard PTO, but is every full-time employee of the court system eligible for a benefit program prior to the paid family medical leave?
Madam Chair, Representative Novotny, we follow the benefit program that is put out by MMB, so we're part of that in terms of health care coverage, pension, those kinds of things. So just like every other government employee, including sick and vacation. Yes.
Excuse me, Chair Novotny.
Thank you, Vice Chair Finke. That's all I need.
Thank you.
So from Mr. Shorba, and I'll just comment quickly.
Sure.
We just heard everything. I'm actually talking about the bill 3847 here and the amendment as opposed to the larger picture that Representative Frazier's talking about. These are state employees. One of the reasons people are attractive to jobs working for the courts and being state employees is a fairly generous benefits package. So I don't think this would have anywhere near the effect that Representative Frazier is talking about. That's my comment. Thank you, Chair.
Representative Van Binsbergen.
Thank you, Vice Chair. So this $1.9 million new investment of hardworking taxpayers' money, is that going to be an annual event? And is that going to continue to increase?
Are you asking Chair Liebling?
Yes.
Chair Liebling?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I think anything that is a cost of employment is going to be ongoing, I assume. I mean, maybe Mr. Walls could answer that better than I could. It does have tails, and that means it's an ongoing cost. It's a pool of money we would be giving the courts to help with their employment costs. Mr. Walls, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Madam Chair, members, just sort of back of the napkin, I think the request is for roughly 640,000 the first year, and about 640,000 in 27, and beginning in 28, it would be about $1,043,000 per year after that.
That's all three courts.
Yes, that's all three courts.
Representative Van Binsbergen.
So that will just be a continued event for as long as
We have a judiciary, yes.
it's never going to end. Well, I take some offense to some of the comments on the other side today about private business not being important. Private business is paying the bill for the judiciary in this state. And they're the real people in charge. And, you know, I represent a lot of folks that don't have fancy retirement and insurance packages. They are living paycheck to paycheck, day by day. They're running small businesses. They're fighting hard. And so we're supposed to just come in here and say, hey, it's another $1 million bucks. And we'll just do that as long as the judiciary is around. I support Representative Bliss's amendment.
We're going to go to Representative Feist, and then we will go back to the Chair Liebling.
Thank you. Just wanted to clarify. So I'm a business owner. I founded my law firm almost 16 years ago. I've grown it over that time. I've profited over that time. I'm really proud of that. I've worked in immigration law for over 25 years now, and switching over to running my own business was really invigorating and kind of like re-energized me for the work that I do. So I love being a business owner, and it's been really good for me. And I now have 10 employees. I'm hiring a couple new people now, if anyone knows, anyone who's interested. So, you know, I benefit from and appreciate the importance of business in our state and our community from my own personal experience. What I was saying is that the judicial branch is a branch of government, and they have a very important role in ensuring that like our system of government can continue and that we have constitutional rights like due process. So I think we serve different functions, and I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, Representative Feist. I will just add that, yeah, it is the responsibility of the government to fund the government. We have three branches of government. Two branches of the government got this money last year in a bipartisan way. This year, the judiciary needs it. They are still a part of government, and that is our responsibility. Chair Liebling, final comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, members, for the discussion. So I kind of regret that this discussion is really, from my point of view, a little bit off the rails for this committee, because we're not here to discuss the benefits or costs of paid family medical leave. That's not before the jurisdiction of this committee, and it's not before us today. The courts didn't weigh in on that. They're not here to say this is a good thing or not a good thing. They are neutral on this question, and it is our job as a committee to fund them or not fund them. This is a cost that they have come to tell us they are bearing. Whether we like it or not, they are, And if you don't like it, file a bill and, take the appropriate actions to change it. That's all of our rights as members of the legislature. But this is not the place to do that. They are not here to say that they love the program or don't love the program. They're here to say that they have costs that have to be paid. And if they have to pay costs, whether they like it or not, it pulls away funding from other personnel. And we, in the last, this is my first term as a chair of this committee, so I haven't had to deal with the court's budget before, but in last year, I would venture to say that we underfunded the judiciary. I mean, we gave all of our agencies we tried to be as fair as we could, Co-Chair Scott and I, but we had a very small target, and we had to spread it very thin. And that means that employees of the judicial branch are, they are underfunded. And when we don't, for whatever we call the funding, for whatever reason the court is asking for the funding, this is money, and it gets spread across, their obligations to employees. Now, I do want to respond a little bit to the issue about businesses, because I think it's really important to understand that businesses receive a lot of the benefit of having a strong judiciary. You would have a really hard time having a business if you had nowhere to go, say, when a customer doesn't pay their bill, or somebody commits a tort against your business, somebody does something in your business. I mean, there are business contracts, business disputes. I don't know if Mr. Shorba would know. I don't want to call him up to ask him, but a large amount of the court's work is work for businesses. So this helps everybody, and having a strong judiciary is important to our democracy. Besides that, if we don't have, we all learn in civics class, we've got 3 branches of government. Our democracy depends upon a balance between them, and the judiciary does not raise its own money. It doesn't. So either it gets funding from us, understanding that it's an independent branch, or it doesn't. And if you want to say, oh, we don't like what the legislature did, therefore we're going to punish the judiciary, I think that's really very unfortunate. So let's take the discussion about whether paid family leave is a good thing or a bad thing somewhere else. It has no relevancy today to whether we should fund this request of theirs. They have to pay this. Money is money. If they don't they're not going to stop providing paid family medical leave to their employees if we don't fund this. They still have to do it. So they're going to have to find the money somewhere. And it's going to mean that they can fund less of something else. So if we want to have a strong judiciary, if we want to have a strong democracy, I think we have to fund the reasonable requests of the judiciary. And suck it up and do that. That's what I would ask members to do. So I strongly encourage a no vote on this amendment.
Clerk will take the roll.
Chair Liebling.
No.
Liebling, no. Chair Scott. Aye. Scott, aye. Vice Chair Finke.
No.
Finke, no. Vice Chair Duran.
Yes.
Duran, yes. Representative Bliss.
Yes.
Bliss, aye. Representative Curran.
No.
Curran, no. Representative Feist.
No.
Feist, no. Representative Frazier.
No.
Frazier, no. Representative Mahmoud.
No.
Mahmoud, no. Representative Moeller.
No.
Moeller, no. Representative Novotny. Novotny, aye. Representative Rarick. Rarick, aye. Representative Steer.
Yes.
Steer, aye. Representative Van Binsbergen.
Yes.
Van Binsbergen, aye.
There being 7 ayes and 7 nays, the motion does not prevail. There is an amendment. Chair Scott, would you like to introduce your amendment?
Chair Finke, is that the A4 or the A5?
A4.
A4, okay, thank you. Members, the A4 is, let me back up. The courts asked for $1 million for a grant program that they've been using for years to allow courthouses across the state to apply for security grants, and that's for the hardware, for the to better fortify their buildings. And so the courts testified that they're asking for the million, but there were 3 million in unmet requests last time they offered this grant. And so what we're doing here is increasing that from 1 million to 4 million with this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Scott. Any discussion to the amendment? Chair Liebling.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I wonder if Mr. Shorba, I know you weren't expecting this, but I wonder if you could come up for a moment and just answer a question about this, since we haven't had any discussion about this particular piece before.
Mr. Shorba, introduce yourself for the record.
Jeff Shorba, State Court Administrator for the branch.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Shorba, I don't think you requested this, but I just wanted to, give you an opportunity to, I assume you don't want to turn down funding, but, I just wanted to see if you had anything you wanted to say about this request. I mean, I have to say I'm inclined to go along with Co-Chair Scott and put this in the bill, but I just wanted to give you an opportunity if you choose to use it.
I appreciate
Mr.
that.
Shorba.
Chair Finke, Chair Liebling. Anytime we can give grant money out for courthouse safety and those costs are going up, I think it's a good thing. We did, as Chair Scott said, have more applications for funding than we had the last time. We've done this 3 times. Twice we offered 500,000 for the pool and once $1 million. So we thought we would ask for $1 million. I think there is increased demand, as I testified earlier, as threats and other things are going up at courthouses. This is only one-time money, though, so it won't pay for personnel or more security guards. It'll pay for weapons screening equipment at places that don't have it, but it won't pay for the staff to man it, so that would have to be a county cost. But I am not going to oppose the increase to $4 million. I think there'll be an appetite, and I can tell you we're going to have, like we did in the past, a committee to look at every application. It'll include sheriff's people, police, county people, and I can pledge to the committee if we can't spend $4 million, we will not spend $4 million, no matter what the number is. So.
Thank you, Mr. Shorba. Representative Liebling.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, so I would recommend a yes vote on this.
Representative Curran.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to mention, given the conversation of spending money that the court or that the judicial branch asked for was just denied based on current needs that they have, based on current law in the state of Minnesota. And now we're deciding whether we give $3 million more, which is more than what the ask was to shore them up on fulfilling current law. That came out of nowhere. And I just want to say that it's very possible to vote yes for money that you're not sure if it's needed or not, or you might not be sure if you agree with the reason behind it. I think we should be giving the courts more money. I think we should have done it on we should be giving them not only the money that they ask for, and of course, if they are going to ask for more, we should do that. So, yeah, this isn't political for me. I'll vote yes.
Chair Scott.
Thank you, Chair Finke, and thank you for those comments. Rep. Curran, this is one-time money that doesn't go into the tails, and trying to be fiscally responsible. And so that's one of the reasons that we raised it, and with knowing that there were unmet needs from the previous biennium. And we've talked an awful lot about security around this place. And so we want to make sure that, courthouses in outstate have their needs met. And this, I just want to also add that these local courthouses, county courthouses and so forth, they have to have a match. It's a 50-50 match on this money. So I just wanted to give you a clear picture, maybe reminders of why I'm doing this. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Amendment is adopted. We have one more amendment. Chair Scott, to your A5.
Thank you, Chair Finke, and I'm just wondering if Mr. Johnson could run through the amendment and cover all that it does so that I don't leave anything out.
Mr. Johnson.
Chairs and members, the A5 amendment, the first thing it does is it deletes section 1. I will note that that is also included in the A7 amendment that was already adopted by this committee. It reduces the appropriation that's on page 4 at line 14. That's the appropriation for the safety and security under the Supreme Court appropriations to $312,000. Again, the A7 amendment contained a similar reduction. This is slightly lower. The A7 contained it would have reduced that number to 394,000. This reduces it to 312,000. On page 4, line 15, there's a slight change in purpose for this money. It specifies that the money is for increased staffing of the judicial security unit. It also reduces the base appropriation down to that $312,000. The change on line 1.8 of the amendment is a technical change since there were 2 subdivisions within this particular section, and the next amendment deletes one of the subdivisions. This just removes the header that says subdivision 1. So at 1.9 of the bill, it would delete page 4, lines 28 to 30, and that's the safety and security appropriation for the Court of Appeals. Similarly, there are changes in section 7 that removes that header that says subdivision 1 and then removes the safety and security appropriation to the district courts. That's the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Chair Finke. And one of the things that I thought was an important thing to do is the courts were asking for 2 judicial employees for the judicial security unit. This would be the equivalent to our Lori Hodap and those folks. And so that's what the $312,000 is funding, is 2 of those individuals to coordinate safety for the courts.
Discussion to the amendment? Chair Mueller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm confused, Chair Scott, if you could explain the deletions at line 4.28 to 4.30 and 5.7 to 5.9. Is it your intention to eliminate the safety and security funding for district court and Court of Appeals and just have it for Supreme Court?
Chair Scott? Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Finke. What this is doing is deleting the home security provision for the courts and also the data, what do you call that? It's kind of like delete me or something like that. So it's paring down those 2 things.
Chair Mueller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So then you're deleting that for all Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, and District Court. And I just have to say I am troubled by that. You know, the idea here is to give this security that these judges need. And, you know, we have that security ourselves as legislators. I think it's really important to have that home security in light of what happened on June 14th and the examples given about other judges around the country being targeted at their homes, being shot at their homes. So I would just hope that we can revisit that. Thank you.
Go ahead, Chair Scott.
Thank you, Chair Finke, and thank you for those questions, Chair Mueller. If you will remember, the last 2 years, the courts have been here. They have had they convinced the legislature that their homes should no longer be part of public record. So their homes are no longer part of public record. That was one of the reasons that I didn't feel like the delete me or whatever you want to call that sort of service was should be a priority, because they're already getting their home addresses and any other real property that they own deleted from the public record. The other issue on the home security, the lowest paying judge in the state of Minnesota makes $190,000. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the majority of judges probably already have a home security system. And if they don't, they can do like we did and take it out. We can take money out of our campaign funds to pay for that. And so I think that that is the reason I made those decisions the way I did. Thank you.
Representative Curran.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And, you know, the conversation about judges perhaps having their own security systems, I think that's valid. I think a lot of us probably have had security systems in the past. There's no reason that we wouldn't have access to something to have that security or upgrade that security. I would assume that for folks that don't have that security, then that allows them to do that. But I was troubled as Chair Moeller here because these are really, really crucial protections for our judicial system. I'm not sure why we would be looking to take money out of security that we all know is so desperately needed. I'll ask for a roll call on this and just also note that there's a lot of judges out there who aren't elected. A lot of judges who aren't elected. And the doxing continues to happen when people are unhappy with any sort of ruling, whether it's an administrative hearing, a district court, or the Supreme Court. They all face these same exact threats. People don't give two hoots about what court a judge works for. They care about how it impacts their life, and some people will go off the rails. And that's what this funding is meant to protect. So I would oppose this amendment. Thank you.
Roll call has been requested. Chair Liebling.
Yeah, thank you. And I would request a no vote on this amendment. I do think that, you know, we can quibble about, you know, who needs it, who doesn't need it. And, you know, we are giving with this, if we pass the bill as is currently, we would be giving money to the courts that they could somewhat move around within the security bucket, I believe, is how this would work. So if somebody already has a system, the courts, this wouldn't be saying, oh, well, they must be given another one. This would, so that they could use this a little bit flexibly. But it does trouble me, if we were to adopt this, the message it sends to the courts, the message it sends to judges. Judges are under threat. This is, you know, we are trying to continue to attract good candidates to our judiciary. And I think they need to know that the legislature sees and is concerned about the personal threats to them. So to me, it's even more the symbolism of this than the actual money aspect of it. I just think it's very troubling to just say, well, you've asked for this, you think it's necessary, but we're not giving it to you. I just don't feel comfortable with that. And, you know, I too have wrestled with the idea that judges do make, you know, fairly good salary. I think for some of them, going on the judiciary is a big step up in salary from what they did before if they were a public defender or a prosecutor, but for others, it might be a big step down if they were in a big law firm somewhere. But regardless of where they came from, it is true public service to be a judge. And, you know, sometimes I look at the judiciary and I just think, thank God we have people who are willing to do this, especially in this threat environment. So to send them a signal that we are going to not provide any of the personal security that they've asked for, to me is just really wrong. And I hope that we don't do that. So I'm just going to ask again for a no vote on the amendment.
Chair Scott, closing comments?
Thank you, Chair Finke. And yeah, I mean, I outlined for you why. The last 2 years, again, the courts came to us and asked to have their personal property records erased. That wasn't cheap. We passed that into law. Their personal property records, if they haven't been, will be erased, and there's a penalty for that not happening. So, and again, if you make $190,000 a year, and that's just the lowest paid district court judge, I think you can afford $1,000 worth of equipment and $100 a month for home monitoring. We are in a structural deficit in this state. And so every dollar counts. And I feel like keeping this language in there would double up on some of those protections. And so I think it's more efficient to do it this way. We are giving them some of what they ask for here. We're giving them 2 FTEs for this judicial security unit. And hopefully things will turn around in the next few years financially in this state. So, and again, I encourage a yes vote on the amendment.
The clerk will take the roll.
Chair Liebling.
No.
Liebling, no. Chair Scott.
Yes.
Scott, aye. Vice Chair Finke.
No.
Finke, no. Vice Chair Duran.
Yes.
Duran, aye. Representative Bliss.
Yes.
Bliss, aye. Representative Curran.
No.
Curran, no. Representative Feist.
No.
Feist, no. Representative Frazier.
No.
Frazier, no. Representative Mahmoud.
No.
Mahmoud, no. Representative Novotny, Moeller, sorry.
No.
Moeller, no. Representative Novotny. Novotny, aye. Representative Rarick. Representative Rarick, aye. Representative Steer.
Yes.
Steer, aye. Representative Van Binsbergen.
Yes.
Van Binsbergen, aye.
There be 7 ayes and 7 nays. The amendment is not adopted. We will now move to member discussion on the bill as amended. Is there any discussion to the bill? Chair Scott.
Thank you, Chair Finke. I also want to, in addition to speaking to the bill here in the past amendment, I think it's important to remember that there are other security measures traveling in other bills that will affect the judiciary as well. So I would request a roll call on the final bill, and I would request a no vote.
Roll call has been requested. Is there any other discussion? Chair Liebling, closing comments on your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, members, for the good discussion, and thank you to the judiciary for being good partners in helping us move through this process. And I think it's, hearing what Chair Scott says about there is another bill moving. Of course, around this place, we never know what's going to happen to any bill and how far it's going to go. And this year in particular, I think that's true. So I think it's important to move this bill regardless. And again, I think it's certainly in the security part of this bill, I think is a really important message to be sending. We are the Judiciary Committee. And if we don't believe that we need to extend help with security needs to the courts that are under such threat right now, then I don't know who does. So I think that's really important. The bill now contains also the additional funding for the security, what are we calling that? The courthouse fund. So that is in this bill. I don't think that's going to be, I don't know if that'll be in another bill that might be traveling. So I think this is a really important bill. I think it still is very, both practically, because the courts do need funding. They are underfunded. I've heard from people who work for the courts who are, these are not high-earning folks. These are people who are absolutely necessary to the functioning of the judiciary. Their salaries are really quite low. And this is important that we keep our courts strong. So I strongly encourage a yes vote on this bill. Thank you, members.
Chair Liebling renews her motion that HF 3874 as amended be referred to Ways and Means. The clerk will take the roll.
Chair Liebling.
Aye.
Liebling, aye. Chair Scott. No. Scott, no. Vice Chair Finke.
Aye.
Finke, aye. Vice Chair Duran.
No.
Duran, no. Representative Bliss.
No.
Bliss, no. Representative Curran.
Aye.
Curran, aye. Representative Feist.
Aye.
Feist, aye. Representative Frazier.
Yes.
Frazier, aye. Representative Mahmoud.
Aye.
Mahmoud, aye. Representative Moeller.
Aye.
Moeller, aye. Representative Novotny. Novotny, no. Representative Rarick. Rarick, no. Representative Steer.
No.
Steer, no. Representative Van Binsbergen.
No.
Van Binsbergen, no.
There being 7 ayes and 7 nays, the motion does not prevail and the bill does not advance.